On to the front page of the Daily Nation. Payback. Ruto takes on Uhuru. Payback. Ruto takes on Uhuru. With just 2 weeks to the statutory deadline for his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, to leave active politics, President William Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza administration are not taking chances from reversals of policies to revocation of appointments. The president seems keen to rein in Uhuru. But this was expected. Let me start with you, Junior Omulo. This is expected that whenever there is that transition from one government to another, it was deemed to happen, though.
Actually, for you to benefit from the President Retirement Benefit Act, you must resign, and as a party leader, you are not supposed to engage in either political party or a political process. As a former president, the only important thing is being a peacemaker. Is supposed to retire in peace, yes, and allow the current government to do its job. That is how it's supposed to be done. But when in regards to having new people in government, you can only work with people who are loyal to you. People who can also, sell your agenda, your manifesto, and even your program. You cannot work with people who are against your activities and program. That is why there is a need of having new team in different parastatal, different institutions, to ensure that the plan, what we call the plan, the agenda of Kenya Kwanza government is fully implemented in those institutions.
Yeah. So, Chrispus, this was actually, it happens world over. And it even happens in the counties.
I think the issue is people in Kenya need to realize if you pledge your loyalty to an administration, and the moment it exits, definitely your loyalty does not change overnight.
Yes.
You have to remain loyal to the administration, whether it is there or not. So you live, as the administration lives, you also live. So that you allow those who believed in the ideology of the new administration to come in and provide the impotence required to drive their agenda.
Yes.
So people who have been loyal to Azimio and Jubilee and the likes that were there in the last administration, they should allow the Kenya Kwanza team to come in, because that's what they were designed for, to campaign for Kenya Kwanza, to come and work for Kenya Kwanza and deliver for Kenya Kwanza.
It's like you're moving houses. You cannot move houses and still leave your belonging there.
Exactly.
You'll have to move out with your all belonging, then somebody else will have to come in, and take reign of that. Okay, let me take this here. Trade war path put in on a DP. There is this case of China Square, and in an outlet somewhere in KU, Unicity Mall, and now he's raising a lot of questions, and now Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and the Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria find themselves trapped by the demands of the Nyamakima King makers, who are now threatening the country's international trade policies and endangering diplomatic ties with China, whose nationals are targeted in a smear campaign for disrupting the thriving grey economy. So to speak, I've been here, and it's a new outlet, so to speak, and would have expected, perhaps, according to me, to have the Chinese nationals, because they are the sole owners of this company. So somebody would argue that they really expected such people to be there for some time, even though they're training Kenyans. Actually, there's Kenyans who are operating there, at the shelves, at the till. But now, the whole debate, now this place has been closed for the last 2 days. Junior.
I think this came as a result of outcry by small business traders from Nyamakima, who had threatened the government, they're organizing for a protest, that there's an unfair competition between them and Chinese, who are selling their goods very cheaply. So I think in a business environment, you can only create a conducive environment for local to thrive. SMEs and even MMEs to thrive in regards to what they sell and how they sell their goods. But again, you can only build a country through allowing investors to invest in your country, creating employment and also improving the working standard, working condition of Kenyans. So I think we need to look at this in a fair way.
Yes.
And it's also believed that the Chinese business people were also given licenses which were not so much measured in terms of the value addition, in terms of businesses and how they are going to create jobs. So they need to look at this and negotiate and see how they invest how they can they produce their products in Kenya.
Yes.
Like Taifa Gas, you know, they're investing in Kenya. Such investment will give more returns to Kenyans, yes, as opposed to gaining more, taking back the money that they get here in China. So I think the CS in charge of trade is working around it to ensure that he creates a very conducive business environment for traders, so that it can be a fair play for all the business people.
But if you look at it, engineer, you know, I must assume that the Chinese paid all the dues, they got the license, you know, their area of operation was well taken care of, but then is it taking out of proportion?
Well, I think we need to look at history. When we first built the rail line,
yes,
with the British, the Indians came here to build the rail line. Then after building the rail line, they became traders. And now they have moved from being traders to the biggest industrialist in this country.
Yes. But they're now citizens.
The Chinese came to build the SGR, what we're calling the Belt Initiative across Africa. After doing it, they realized, we have money, we have expertise in these areas, what can we do? So you can see Kilimani, they are doing a lot of real estate, they are doing trading in Nyamakema and the other places. China Square is coming on board. From there, they'll probably transit to becoming industrialists. We as Kenyans, we have to wake up and realize, as long as we are not able to take that space, people from out there will always come and take this space and take advantage of the opportunities we have here. Many of our Kenyan traders are not honest. What this Chinese guy has realized is that I can bring these things from China to Kenyans here and still make a small margin and sell to Kenyans and they can afford.
Yes.
But most of our traders, they go to China, bring us very cheap and bad quality stuff, sell us expensively, make us consumer dependent. Every 6 months we have to replace this thing, and we are paying an arm and a leg. So this Chinese guy is filling a space. I think what the trade minister needs to do is address the issue of fair trade. If us Kenyans were willing to buy from Kenyans, can the Kenyan traders also be fair enough when they go to China?
Yes.
Bring us quality, sell to us at an affordable price, and we have no problem buying from them. Yeah. The problem is when they go out there, they bring us fake things, sell us expensively, and still expect the government to protect them. If you look at the records of what Kenyans imported from China, vis-a-vis what Kenya declared they had imported, there was a huge disparity.
Yes.
China said Kenya had imported over 800 billion. Kenya said we had imported only 143 billion. In terms of the tax contribution, these same traders were the people who were avoiding paying taxes despite importing so much from China. So there are serious issues. As much as they want to be protected, are they playing their fair share of contributing to the economy? As much as they are importing and not supporting the manufacturing sector in Kenya, what are they doing in terms of filling that space? So there are serious issues that we need to address. I may not be privy
to some of the inner details of what the CS is demanding, and even the collaboration between the Chinese and the Kenyatta University. And now, but until 2 months ago, Unicity was quite, it was a sleepy kind of an outlet until the Chinese came up. Then all of a sudden, this became the anchor tenant. Don't you think there's a better way it would have been treated, or the whole story would have been handled without making it look like the Chinese have come now? We want to have Nyamakima traders, are working. How many people can you accommodate? Maximum 100?
Sure.
Junior?
I think this has been an issue. I remember last time when Jaguar was a member of parliament for Starehe, there were allegations that Chinese were also doing hawking in those areas. So I think the only disadvantage on this side is that there was a knee-jerk reaction by political leaders after the small-scale traders threatened to strike in regards to what is happening. But it should not be taken in a political direction. What needs to be done is how then do we create an environment for a fair trade so that we have value addition and competitive advantage in terms of what kind of business we are doing as a country. I think what engineer said, our traders are not actually genuine people because sometimes, but we need also to change our laws so that we allow them, so that when they import goods from China, they also have the tariffs or the whatever they pay will not be reflected in what they sell to the people. So we just need to create a fair environment for Chinese to do business in Kenya and any other investor, because so long as they will create employment, because what we are fighting for is to create employment, increase production. If they can be industrialists, they can create industries that will also employ our people, we'll also appreciate. So we need to encourage investors to invest in Kenya, but at the same time allow them to have an environment that will also, as they compete with small-scale traders, they create a fair environment so that whatever they sell will also resonate with what we sell. So that we make profit, they also give us return, as also they make their profit.
All right, gentlemen.
And I just wanted to add on that, if you look at Dubai, Dubai is not an industrial city, it's a trading city.
And everybody...
Most of the business there is about trading.
Yes.
Traders come in, set up shop. The Dubai government ensures there are people to come and buy. Even us as a country, if all the Chinese came and traded here, and the whole of East Africa region came to buy from here, what are we losing?
Kenya will act as a point of collection.
Exactly. We'll become a transport hub, a trade hub, a financial hub. There are so many opportunities as long as we are able to take advantage of the position we have as a country. So if there was so many China squares all over the country, but we made sure that everybody from Africa comes here to buy from us, we are the ones who will benefit. It's money that is being pumped into our economy, jobs created for our people, and everybody will win.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, let me take you through the front other pages of the paper here. But there is one story that I wanted to look into details. Prepare to fold, Malala tells UDA partners. Omulo, this is quite close to your heart. Just hold. We'll discuss that when you come back. Prepare to fold, Malala tells UDA partners. He's now the new Secretary General of the UDA party, just jumping from the ANC. What happened? Why is he running away from Musalia? You'll tell us more. Battle for the mountain, Nyor waiting in the wings. All right. Battle for the mountains, Nyor waiting in the wings. That now two gentlemen fighting to be the kingpin of Mount Kenya. We have got Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro. They call him Ndende Nyoro. All right. Okay. Very fast, on the front page of the Standard, why last of Cherera 4 had to fall. Why last of Cherera 4 had to fall? According to the tribunal chairman, Agri Muchelule, Commissioner Irid Masit sank out of her own failure to challenge evidence adduced against her. Instead, she questioned witness credibility. And now, she has got 10 days to appeal the decision. Intrigues of Mudavadi ally takes helm of Ruto party. Now we have got new members. We have got Cecil Mbarire, who's the Embu governor, taking that part as the chairperson of UDA, and the former senator of Kakamega, Cleophas Malala, as the new secgen of UDA party. Why did he have to jump ship? We'll be discussing that immediately after this break. And finally, on the front page of the People Daily, Vastis in crisis over vacant jobs. Vastis in crisis over vacant jobs. It's now said that at least 29 public institutions lack substantive chancellors or vice chancellors as debate rages over increase in fees. Let me come back to you, engineer. I mean, it's a sorry state of education affairs here.
Well, the Kibaki's dream was to have universities or university education accessible to many Kenyans. Unfortunately, the people who have been given that responsibility over the last 10, 15 years to champion equal access to university education to Kenyans have also turned this university into money-making machines. And they are not businessmen. They are not into the business of making money. They're supposed to be teaching and providing knowledge. We have the wrong people doing the job that is supposed to be done by different people. The academia is a good area to be led by professors, but also we need proper administrators, people who understand business to run this institution, because as much as you want to make them generate money, you cannot have a professor being in charge of monetizing some of the assets this university have. You've seen this university buying assets all over East Africa, buildings, hotels, which are now not even generating money, and they are there crying of not having money. How are they going to justify sitting in so many assets and not being able to generate money because they don't have the required skills to do that. We need the right people to manage the assets and the business of universities. Leave the professors to do the teaching and academia.
All right, gentlemen, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into now our main discussion here, the intrigues in the Mudavadi party. That's why you are here, Omulo. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with our gentlemen in studio shortly. Welcome back. Okay, now let's jump into our discussion here. So on the front page, a lot of changes took place yesterday at the ruling party, that is UDA. And now we have got Chrispus Malala, former senator of Kakamega, taking that role of Secretary General. And that is why I have got Director of Political Affairs at the ANC party, Junior Omulo, to tell us what is really happening at the ANC. Junior, go. Is ANC folding shop?
Actually, ANC is very stable and we are active, operating and actually part of Kenya Kwanza government. Malala is a member of ANC party and he was our candidate in Kakamega. And remember, the constitution allows him to become a member of another party if he wants to be, because that is the constitution. You can associate, you can join a political party by a way of resigning from your former party and also applying in that regard. So I believe he did that, all the due process, and is allowed by law to do that. That one does not affect the leadership of the party and even the operations of the party. The party is very strong. And remember, the Constitution through the Political Parties Act also allows the registration of political parties and even the coalition of parties and even coalition of party. So if he feels that he is joining UDA, which to his best knowledge is he will be able to participate as a Secretary General, I think he is allowed, and that's why my party leader gave him a green light to work with our partner, which is our sister party, also to inject energy, because he's also a young man with a brilliant political promise. So there's nothing that will destabilize ANC party. This is a competition, and ANC is also working on a clear framework focused to participate in the next election and also to compete with the UDA, because that is what the Constitution allows. Yes.
We all know that Chrispus Malala was one of the strongest point men of Musalia Mudavadi in Western Kenya, and he actively took part in the campaigns during last election. But right now he's crossed over to UDA. Do you really think this is going to weaken ANC in Western Kenya, his exit? Chrispus?
You know, ANC as a party is a party associated with Mudavadi. So when there is no Mudavadi, there is no ANC. But when other people leave ANC, it doesn't affect it.
Remember, you also resigned.
Yes.
Yes.
So the issue is, if ANC really wants to become a national party, it needs to start bringing new blood where it does not associate itself with Mudavadi. But as long as a Mudavadi party, whether people come and leave, it does not impact so much on that party. What I would say is that it's good for Malala to join UDA, because UDA is a party that has demonstrated that it wants to have a national outlook. And for Malala, he has demonstrated also while in ANC that he's a great mobilizer. One of the things that UDA is missing now that the president is already in office is that mobilizer. Ruto is one of the biggest mobilizers for any political party, but right now he's already a president. He may be handicapped in terms of his ability to go down on the grass to do that. So that's something now Malala will come and bring on board. So in my opinion, it's a good thing for the country that Malala has joined UDA, but it's also unfortunate that he not stay longer in ANC to be able to help that party grow outside Mudavadi, because now the party still remains a Mudavadi outfit, rather than Western Kenya party growing to become a national party.
Did he resign? Because his exit was rather silent.
Actually, you cannot join a political party, another political party, without resigning from
so
your
he resigned
party.
from ANC.
So he resigned, even though it was not loud or it was not public. But that is the law. Because the law also states that the moment you are a member of a party and then you are deemed to be selling other ideologies of another party, then that is against the law. So I think it's just right, and it is wrong to say that ANC is not a national party, because I come from Lowland and I'm a director in that party. Our Secretary General comes from Central Kenya, and we have elected members of parliament from different parts of this country. So I believe ANC is a national party. You know, as much as we have built ourselves as a country through democracy, from one-party state to multi-party democracy, we are still fighting the idea of personalities. You know, all parties are associated with personalities. Come to ODM. ODM without Raila is not ODM. Come to UDA, you know, you talk about
ANC.
So, including ANC. So we need to deviate from that and build a political party or a vehicle that can be seen to be not only having a national face, but selling ideologies that can be associated by what other, you know, ordinary citizens are also advocating for. That is the dream of Kenya Kwanza, and that is why they are saying they want to talk to other partners. They are not saying that they are going to fold political parties, but they are saying they are going to dialogue. They are going to sell the ideas of working together, either forming a political coalition of parties or a coalition party. But we have seen challenges of forming a coalition party. You've seen what is happening in Azimio, and we cannot go in that direction. If we are forming a political a coalition of parties, then other parties are also allowed to participate actively and also compete with other parties within that coalition.
The same thing that is happening, that's happened to Jubilee. We had TNA, we had URP, and all those other political parties, you know, folded and closed shop, and they formed Jubilee. And now Malala says that prepare to fold. Malala tells UAD partners. New Party Secretary General Cleophas Malala says that he will be reaching out to Kenya Kwanza affiliate parties to discuss the matter. Are we going to have a scenario like we had in the last regime?
Remember, the folding of TNA...
And what is the danger to that?
No, the folding of TNA and URP was a vision of William Ruto to have Uhuru Kenyatta re-elected with one party, one big party, and then use that party on delivering on the promise to Kenyans, and use that party to seek election afresh for himself in 2022, which by the time 2022 was reaching, he was already kicked out of Jubilee. His dream is to always have a one strong party. The way we had Kanu, remember he was a student of Moi. His dream is to have one strong party to compete among others. So I don't see how within the Kenya Kwanza plan we are going to have so many parties for a very long time. The dream is to have one strong party which can be used to deliver on this promise and his re-election, and also sustain that promise for the next 10 or 20 years. As long as he's alive, he must be able to make sure that whatever he does today, he protects it, even when he's not president, by making sure there's a strong party working hard to protect his legacy and build on it. And I don't see how so many parties will be allowed to thrive as long as that Kenya
But based on the
plan.
history, again, Jubilee just disintegrated. I mean, it was used as a vehicle for a re-election. Are we not so sure, and even the political parties who are now being told to be ready to fold, that the same might happen after another election cycle?
But you know, Jubilee died because of a handshake. When Uhuru Kenyatta, without the engaging...
Was that not just a political propaganda?
But going by what you have seen in this, the fallout between Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto, it is very clear that Ruto was not part of the handshake. And even on them failing to deliver on the Jubilee Big Four, it was not his wish. For him, he has picked up from where Jubilee left on the Big Four, especially the issue of the affordable housing, food security, on the issues of agriculture and all that. You've seen he has picked up from where his grand promise of Big Four was left, and he has considered said, look, when this handshake came in, we were not able to deliver on the big four. If you look at Kenya Kwanza, it's a mirror of the big four, with just addition of a few things because of other parties that have joined. So he believes in one strong party, and I believe that's something that William Ruto will deliver.
So is the president cannibalizing ANC? Because if you take Musalia Mudavadi's strong point man, but Malala is a strong man in the ANC. Is the president cannibalizing ANC?
Actually, it's not, because I do agree with what engineer is saying.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you look at democracies like USA, you only have two political parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. Come to South Africa and even Tanzania, our neighbor here. You know, we need to build a strong party that can compete, a party whose ideology is premised on, you know, what they want to do for Kenyans. Not having so many political parties with different ideologies, with different people who are not focused, and their own mind, what they want to do is make money. You know, like Kenya, we have over 86, you know, around 86 or 87 political parties. Some of them are not even known. Why do we have to register so many political parties, whereas we can only have two political parties that can produce a president, that can produce leadership? That is the vision of Kenya Kwanza.
But it has
so I think having Malala,
political parties.
Malala as a person is a young man with a brilliant political promise. You've seen how he negotiates, how he is vibrant, how he mobilizes. You know, Ruto is also keen in you know, rewarding talents and loyalty. I've seen even during campaigns, even though Malala was our candidate and also our member or in ANC, but you could see him, his heart actually was with the president. You could see him, you know, walking around with the president and even selling some of UDA policies. So I think, look at two things. One, ANC already has filled all the positions. We have a secretary general, we have a chairperson, and all the positions within the party. So putting Malala, who is a vibrant young person in the party, without a position, you know, it would automatically leave.
So where does that leave?
Whereas,
if you're taking a strong man from a political party to join me,
as I said, you know, Malala is just a member, just like any other, you know, leaders within the ANC party. We have elected members within the ANC party, but that should not be construed as if Malala is the only person who is vibrant in the party. There are so many people who are very vibrant in the party. But even though we cannot lie to ourselves that he has not left a gap, especially in Western, because he's also a leader in Western. But within his right, he's seen it fit that he saw a vacancy, and the president also saw a talent within Malala, and he appointed him as secretary. So there's nothing. So there's nothing we can do. Our work as an NC party is to focus on our agenda as a party, develop strategies that will help us compete with UDA, but within Kenya Kwanza formation. So the ideology of having two political parties or a big coalition party that can be in existence for more than 20 years is a very good idea that Kenyans should support. We should not have political parties or people hopping from one party to another, or we use parties for only after election you dump this party, you jump to another party. That one cannot help Kenyans. We need a strong parties that can be funded by the government, that can run and build Kenyans, and can also mentor young people who are also coming up and also produce leadership in this country.
Chrispus, when you talk about lawyer unity, it has been a hard nut to crack for so many years. I think because of the, you know, how it is. How is it going to be for Malala to sell UDA in Western Kenya, while it was not easy for Musalia Mudavadi himself to assert his authority in the entire Western region in the last election? ODM, or call it Azimio, still won in Western Kenya.
But we need to understand, probably Malala has not been brought to win Western Kenya. Today, ODM is very strong because it has won Nairobi. When they call for mass action, they just go to Jacaranda where Babu Owino is, and there's a big rally whose impact is felt even in Kisumu, where we consider ODM to be the home turf. So I think Malala is coming to play something, a new role. UDA also needs to be a political force that can counter whatever Raila is preparing for this administration, or for 2027, where they will need to mobilize grassroots support across the country. And if he's able to do that, even outside Western Kenya. There will be no reason for people in Western Kenya not supporting Malala where he is. So I think this is an opportunity for Malala to demonstrate that he's a national leader, which he did when he was in the Senate, that he's somebody who's able to argue and support and debate and be able to marshal support for whatever cause he believes in. He comes as the SG for UDA, then he'll be able to build those structures to rejuvenate UDA on the grass, because right now UDA, they're just waiting for a dream. But they need to be prepared politically at the grassroots to work towards keeping the party vibrant, so that by 2027 it's ready for an election, and even now to be able to counter any challenges from ODM or the opposition for that fact. So we need somebody like Malala to be in UDA to be able to give it that energy, because right now UDA is not there. Most of the people who are steering UDA have been given political appointments. So who is running UDA? So it's a good thing for him to come and play a national role.
Is ANC folding shop? Because when now Malala has been tapped from ANC to join the UDA, are we looking at a future where soon, the way it was silent, we only saw it yesterday, press, Malala has moved, Cecil Marire named. Is ANC folding shop?
ANC is not folding shop, actually.
You can repeat that on record. You can repeat that.
For the record, we are a strong party, and you can only close shop by having all the elected members resign or join another party. Because, you know, the only capital we have as a party is having elected members. We have elected leaders in the party. And in that respect, ANC is very strong. It has leadership. The party leader is Isha Timami, is a governor in Lamu. And we are currently working on how we can also compete with other political parties. So Malala leaving ANC is not a big deal to us.
It could be a pointer. It could be a pointer.
It's not a pointer, actually, because he's a member, just like any other member. But we have leaders within ANC, and I can assure Kenyans that we are more stronger, and we're also coming up with clear plan that will help us also not only have more elected members, but also participate actively within the coalition, because we are not going to have a presidential candidate. Our presidential candidate is the coalition candidate, who is William Ruto. After 2027, then we will plan and either form government.
Okay. You see what I'm saying, that there's some pointers, all right? The question I want to ask you, Chrispus, and even you, Junior, you can also chime in. You know, when you look at ANC, Musalia Mudavadi resigned because of his position. Of course, now we have got one of the strong men. Malala has also moved to the other side. So where does that leave elected leaders in ANC? Chrispus?
Well, that departure by Malala and the other leaders creates a vacuum, which other people like him should be able to take advantage. I think this gap should not be seen like a failure. They should be seen an opportunity for young people to stand up and take advantage and fill those gaps and be able to take a national platform and demonstrate to the country that they can be leaders. I mean, Babu Owino has clearly shown that even if we don't have an MP in Kibera, ODM can still be felt in Nairobi. So we also want some of these vacancies that are being left, young people to come out and be able to fill them in and demonstrate that we can be. Even in ANC, for example, if we feel Mudavadi and Malala has left, but the party is still connected to the people of Western Kenya, can some new blood from Western Kenya come and fill that gap and be able to take that party out of Western Kenya to the rest of the country?
Of course, I know Junior is going to say that
it is a national
party. The party of Western Kenya, because Issa Timami is a member and Lamu governor. But then, still coming to you, do you think that the departure of the two gentlemen now leaves elected leaders in ANC, you know, with a bit of some shaky legs?
You know, elected members, they were elected on ANC ticket as a party. And the party has a leadership. There's no vacuum in the leadership of ANC party. So they are still paying their subscription. They are still supporting the party ideology. They are part and parcel of the party. there's nothing that has changed. Because I said, and I'll repeat, that Malala was not holding any position within the party. Malala was a member of the party, and he was our candidate in Western. And I agree with the engineer that it is an opportunity for us also to look for a vibrant leader in Western who can also take over. You know, Malala is seen because he's a vibrant. He's a young man who is loud. He can be seen anywhere, as opposed to other leaders. So we will strategize and look at how best we can consolidate the support of Western. And you see, Western people are very interesting people. They have been able to, you know, build democracy in Western. They don't focus so much on one political party. That's why you have many elected members of parliament in Western with different political parties, including DAP and even independent candidates.
Yes.
So that democracy is quite exercised in Western Kenya. And as I said earlier, ANC party is not a local or a regional party. ANC party is a national party with elected members of parliament in all over the country. In Garissa, we have MCAs in Garissa. We have a member of parliament in Matuga, in Mombasa, and in Kilifi. We have a governor in Lamu. You know, so this is a national party. So it should not be associated with the fact that Musalia Mudavadi comes from Western. So I know people might associate Malala with the leadership of the party, but I can tell Kenyans that Malala is a member of the party, and leaving ANC party, he has left ANC party because he feels that he needs somewhere a platform where he can participate actively, and he can also, you know, exercise his talent as a young leader. So ANC is very strong, and members of parliament will still participate in the party. They have the right also to associate within the coalition, but that should be within the law. Are you having... ANC is very strong, and I cannot, you know, I don't have any doubt actually. In my mind.
Having a parliamentary group meeting soon?
We are not having, because you know, losing one member is not a big deal. But maybe we'll have a parliamentary meeting just to discuss important matters in regards to what we promise Kenyans and how we are moving the party in terms of the new plan that we have, the new strategies that we are going to inject in the party, and how best we are going to perform in the next election. Also looking at auditing what happened last election, how do we improve or increase membership within the party, just like any what is happening in UDA. We also have a plan to have grassroots elections, recruitment of new members. That is what we are going to have with the elected members of parliament.
Grassroots elections, will you go, before I come to you, Chrispus, will you go as UDA, or ANC is also going to run independently, you know, UDA independently, and all those other affiliate parties in the Kenya Kwanza?
For the record, we are not part of UDA. We are a party, a registered party with the party leadership, but we are part of Kenya Kwanza coalition. You know, Kenya Kwanza coalition is a coalition of parties. It means that it is a coalition having different political parties.
Elections,
during grassroots elections, we are going to run as ANC. We are going to have our members. We are going to elect our officials. It's a competition, just like any other ODM. You'll have, when they elect their chairman in Vihiga County, we'll also elect our chairman in Vihiga County. So it is a competition. We also have to increase our political base and how we actively participate in that process. Yes.
Chrispus, I think Omulo is trying to scatter around. He's trying
economical with the truth.
Trying to be economical. He's trying to be smart out of it. But you're allowed to burst his bubble.
Yes.
You're allowed.
Well, I think he's at pain to just speak the untold truth. Is that
because he knows his side of the bread, which is buttered.
We have parties that have refused to grow out of people, personality. And there are those that have grown because of personality. For example, ODM, without Raila, the party will be dead.
Yes.
And it has always remained relevant because of Raila. So I think we are in a contradicting position where we have parties that done very well because of a person, but there are also parties that have done very poorly because of the person. And I think ANC is one of those parties that really the person at the top has not helped in terms of building that party into a national outfit as it may be desired. Right now, he's a prime cabinet secretary. I don't know how free he is in terms of using that position to really catapult the party to a national platform. I'm a member of Ford Kenya. Our speaker is the speaker is our party leader. How those two men will use their new found political national positions to build their parties to a national level.
Yes.
Is a question we need to ask ourselves and understand. Because you see, what Ruto did when he was in Jubilee, he was able to use that position as a deputy president and also a member of the party to go around the country building himself. And out of that, he was able to come up with another party called UDA. How then Mudavadi and the speaker and any other person who is a political party leader and in government is going to use their offices to be able to build their parties to a national level is a question we need to ask ourselves and see how they will do it. But it is important that they take advantage of this time they have. Otherwise, you will not be a prime cabinet secretary for a very long time. If you don't do that, the Gachagwas of this world will come with their own parties. They'll go and take Jubilee, wherever it is, and make themselves national leaders. So I think it's just an issue of taking advantage of the place you are. Yes.
Okay, gentlemen, I want us to take a break and we come back. Remember the earthquake?
Yeah.
When it happened at Bomas. Yeah. Are we seeing some of the, some signs of earthquake still coming up? Omulo, you'll tell us. You'll tell us after this break. Let's take a break and come back. As we have got Junior Omulo, who is the Political Affairs Director at the ANC Party, and Chrispus Wathimba, Political and Governance Expert. Let's take a break. We'll be right back shortly.
Hammering you.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. All right, so as we come to the tail end of this discussion, let me ask you, Omulo, will it be so easy for UDA to penetrate in Western Kenya, which is mostly perceived to be an ODM and Raila stronghold politically?
Actually, I don't want to speak for UDA, but I can speak for Kenya Kwanza.
Go ahead.
Look at the history of Western and the election pattern in Western Kenya. You know, Western Kenya traditionally has been supporting the Raila Odinga or ODM or Azimio side. But look at the intermarriages between the Luos and Lawyers. Look at areas like Busia, look at areas like Luanda in Vihiga, which is close to Kisumu. Look at areas like Kakamega, especially in Lurambi. You know, the Luos and Lawyers intermarried and they are one team. So they have that traditional support of Raila Odinga. But look at the pattern after 2022 election. How many votes Raila got and how many votes Ruto got.
Yes.
So there's a possibility, depending on how the Kenya Kwanza government is going to deliver on its promises to the people of Western. Because look at, there are so many issues, historical issues in regards to sugar companies, mere sugar company, the issues of employment, the issues of roads, the issues of production in Western Kenya. If Ruto is able to fulfill all the promises he made to Western Kenya, then I believe, based on that promises, they are going to penetrate Western Kenya. So there's a possibility. And also depending on how, if Azimio is going to hold, because there's a possibility also, because Oparanya is also, preparing himself to take over from Raila Odinga. Look at Kalonzo is also preparing himself to take over from Raila Odinga. So it depends on how, if they are going to work together or hold together as Azimio, then the possibility also having a serious competition with the Kenya Kwanza in Western is also possible.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to hold together, then it will be a leeway for Kenya Kwanza to penetrate and have numbers in Western Kenya.
The loyal unity has been a mirage for so many years, and even if all the leaders we had, the late Omulo, who tried to bring that Western bloc, together, but at some point it just slid off their fingers. It's been still a mirage for a very long time, Chrispus. But then now, having the separation and the division amongst the leaders in Western Kenya, Do you think that the president is going to bring them together as a bloc, as an individual, even in Kenya Kwanza? And now that Malala has left ANC, which was perceived to be a Western Kenya party until the DAPK came, the Ford Kenya is still reigning supreme there, ODM is still, having fingers and his claws there. Is Kenya Kwanza going to, take over from Western Kenya?
I think the challenge we have with Western Kenya is that they are not this committee that speaks in one language.
Yes.
I think if you look at the history during the Moi's time, we still had people working for Moi and also those opposing him, all coming from Western Kenya. Even in the last 3 administrations, 2 administrations of Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta, we have seen people working with the administration and those opposing, all coming from Western Kenya. I think it goes beyond what we see at the surface. I think there are internal divisions within the Luhya communities that to bring Luhya unity, you must overcome. And for anybody to understand those things that divide them, I think that's probably the only solution we require, which probably are cultural, historical issues that probably our generation may not be able to overcome. But I think for now, we should not dwell so much on bringing Luhya unity, but probably bringing or growing democracy within the Luhya community. Because it's very good also having many people from different political affiliations within the Luhya community, which allows them to be able to negotiate. Luhya communities have never failed to be in any administration because they don't speak in one language. One part of Luhya could be in government, the other one could be outside. But at the end of the day, it's Western Kenya that it's benefiting. So I think the challenge is to be able to, how do we demonstrate that these people are one? How do we able to make sure that as much as they are divided, we benefit as a region?
Let me bring Omulo in this particular point. We are talking about Malala, but there is this lady, Cecil Mbarire. Let's not, wish her away. Cecil Mbarire has been picked from Central Kenya. And as we look the way it's been, the strong voice which used to be there, who is now the cabinet secretary, is now Kandara member of parliament, Wahome, was a very strong and staunch supporter of president. But now, Cecil Mbarire is coming as the chairperson of UDA from Central. What does that show?
It has no big significance actually, because first she's a woman. Secondly, she comes from Embu, and Embu is a community within Central. So it's just blending the ideology that it's a party that allows a woman at the helm of the party leadership. At the same time, a leader from Central, which gave a lot of support for William Ruto. So there's nothing significant in terms of her being the chairperson of UDA, but it will just add value in terms of the support that Ruto gained from Central, and also being a woman, that the place of a woman in leadership, that is the most important thing. But I just wanted to weigh in on what engineer was talking about in Western. I've studied the pattern and the cultural belief in Western. Western has a multi-ethnic groupings within the community. Western has the Bukusus, which are the majority. They have the Maragolis, the Tirikis. These communities believe in their own leaders. And I like the fact that they've embraced democracy. They allow all political parties to just participate fairly in the political process. They are not so much focused in one political party compared to Nyanza, which only focus on ODM. It is illegal for you to be elected or even to associate with other political parties if you are not supporting ODM. But look at Western. Western, they embrace ODM, they embrace Jubilee, they embrace independent leaders, they embrace ANC and other. So let them be allowed. We should not be discussing about the elusive, what we call the elusive Luhya unity, which has never happened and will never happen. Just allow them to participate in that, democratic space. Let them elect their leaders, whoever they want to elect. But so long as there's a clear playing field for all political parties to participate in Western. But what will matter most is how you sell your policy in Western. What are you going to add to the people, or what are you going to benefit the people of Western with? What are you going to do to them so that they can it can improve their lives?
Yes.
Be that as it may, you know, the Malala factor in Western is not that much serious, because I've told you earlier that we have people like Kalwale, is also comes from Kakamega, and if you want to balance Malala, you bring in Kalwale. So you never know whether even ANC, we are also looking for Kalwale. So sometimes
case closed.
So it is about political play. So sometimes we're also doing our mathematics right.
Okay.
Because, you know, for you to kill an antelope, you must have calculated the angle at which you throw the arrow.
Yeah.
So they have decided to do that. We will also work around and see who is better and who can also take on and neutralize the perception that Malala is.
Chrispus, I love where the debate is, the direction the debate is taking. I asked a question about Cecil Mbarire, a very strong lady. She rose to be the governor of Embu. A very strong woman in central Kenya. We now see the likes of Martha Karua now on the other side.
Yes.
What do you think, or why do you think, in the wisdom of the party, you know, architects, why she was picked?
Well, you know, central Kenya has been, I mean, the Mount Kenya region has been dominated by leaders from what we call the central province.
Yes.
We haven't looked at the other side, the eastern side of the Mount Kenya. And I think Ruto wants to prepare this side of the mountain for leadership. We've seen the Professor Kindiki was one of the leading contenders for the VP position, for the deputy position. Now he's the Minister of Interior. He has an opportunity to be able to show that people from that area can lead. The Attorney General is from that area. Now Cecil Mbarire is being given the leadership of
Chief Justice, remember?
Yes, Chief Justice. The same thing is given to you. I mean, Mbarire is now the chair of the UDA. It's an opportunity for the eastern side of the Mount Kenya to prove their worth, so that they can be also, when it comes to the negotiation of votes, Ruto can also talk to the other side. I don't know if it's an attempt to divide that vote, but if he's trying to do that, well, the Mount Kenya unity is also very hard to crack, because it has always remained one throughout generations. We fought for independence as one. We have fought for democracy as one. We have been in this Kibaki and the Uhuru government as one. So I believe you can only work with everybody from the Mount Kenya region. Don't try to divide them. Let them remain as united. They speak the same language. They have the same culture. They think the same way. They are pro-business. They want to make money. They want to grow their economy. That's all. So if Mbarire can also carry the same ideas within UDA, then we are safe.
I don't remember when there was a chairperson of a national party who is a female legislator or a woman. Mbarire perhaps comes to my mind as the first. Junior.
Yeah, as I said, you know, it's just creating the perception. You know, there's a place of a woman. You know, Ruto promised women that when I form government, I'll give you 50% of the leadership. So, you know, that is also nurturing women in leadership. And that is a very, very good move, which we need to appreciate the fact that women are also given an opportunity to be the chairperson of a party.
Yes.
So that is a unique way of also allowing women to participate, and is a good move. We will also consider, because sometimes we emulate, you know, when you have like companies or even institutions, sometimes you look at what is important in the other.
Yes.
No, it's not about copying, but you emulate what is important by creating space for women and even young people. Malala is a youth. You know, Mbarire is also fairly young. The fact that she's also a woman, you can see how UDA is trying to balance, not only in regions, but also, you know, the gender balance is also well done.
And remember UDA was heavily supported by women. So I think it's important that they really run their own party, because most of the votes that came to UDA, especially from Mount Kenya region, came from women.
Yes.
Women voted 100% for UDA. So I think it's only fair that they are given that party, be able to continue with the same dream and aspirations that they have held with that party, and probably have one of their own as deputy president come 2027. Yes.
Gentlemen, I want us to close this one, but let me ask you, Omulo, what is the grand plan for UDA, Kenya Kwanza, ANC, the entire outfit?
The grand plan is to have a formidable coalition that will not only be premised on the ideology or the issues that we believe in, that Kenyans will be able to embrace and participate collectively, knowing that this is a party or a coalition that will exist for years, a party that will produce leaders not based on ethnic arrangement, but leaders that are based on what they sell to Kenyans and what they can do to Kenyans. We want to deviate from having electing communities that you are the majority, you produce president. Want to have a party that can produce a leader, even from the minority, you know, ethnic group. So that is what we are focusing on. That is the grand plan. And also to form the next government, actually having fulfilled all the promises that we made to Kenyans. Currently, you know, what we are focusing on, how we can be able to stabilize this economy so that we can reduce the cost of living, the cost of fuel, the cost of electricity, all the basic needs that are enshrined in the Constitution under Article 43, economic rights, and all the rights that Kenyans want to enjoy.
Absolutely. The grand plan, as you take on that, I still repeat, I think Omulo was a bit economical with his words, but anyway, that was expected. Yes. But then, let's talk about this one. Cherera 4 is now case closed, and Masit is now recommended, the tribunal has now recommended the president to remove her of her duties and of that. Is it now over? And the president has actually now gazetted a 7-member team for the selection panel. Let me start with you, Chrispus.
Well, for me, I think the tribunal was, I think, in my opinion, a bit one-sided. She took a lot of time poking holes on the testimony of the people accusing her.
Yes.
She did not also give us a chance to, she did not even take that chance to also prove her case or bring witnesses to show that she was being accused unfairly and that. So we didn't hear from the other side. We didn't hear from the Cherera 4. We didn't hear from the side that was opposing this tribunal. But rather than they spent a lot of time poking holes on the testimony from those who are accusing them. So I think further from this, we may need to have a commission of inquiry to understand what were these issues that were bedeviling the election of 2022 and especially the last days at Bomas of Kenya. If there were any attempts to grab power when Kenyans had already made a decision in the vote, if there were such attempts, we need to be able to know that they were there, and if there are any people to be held accountable, they do that. So at 2027, we can trust in IEBC. We can believe in these institutions, because without IEBC that we can trust, then who as a country, who are we? Yes.
And at the end of the day, Omulo, somebody would argue that the result or the outcome was expected anyway. It's not come as a shocker.
Actually, that was expected, and what happened with the IBC in 2022 should not happen in this country again. We need to have a consolidated, independent electoral and boundary commission that can deliver election based on the law and with you know, whatever that they are supposed to do, without being divided, supporting this political side or political side. That should never happen. Even though, having said that, whatever that happened should not, and a commission of inquiry should be in place actually, even though it's not our priority. But we promise Kenyans that we are going to have a commission of inquiry so that we can see what happened, even with the leaders who participated. There are serious leaders in the security sector who also played part in the election, who interfered with the IBC. That should never happen, and that should be done as soon as possible. But even though we are focusing on creating a new IBC. Remember, the IBC Amendment Act was signed by the President, that is forming the 7 panel that now will allow Kenyans to apply, make applications, and form a new commission. But be that as it may, look at the law. The law allows the President, having the 7-member panel, having received all the applications and also recommending you know, those who are supposed to take over as IBC. You look at, they give the president a leeway of 2 names to elect as a chairperson and even 9 names for the commissioners. This is something that even the opposition did not see coming, because when the debate was brought in parliament, the amendments were brought in parliament, they did not react. Actually, they did not participate. They did not even riot. They did not even demonstrate, because they ought to have pushed for IPPG arrangements. But now they are crying that, what is going to happen is like a Ruto IBC. Creating such kind of public perception is what always cause chaos every election year. Yeah. We need to trust our institutions to the extent that when they give them an opportunity, you are not electing people based on your interest, but let Kenyans apply and participate in this process without any interference, so that you can have an institution that can be trusted. But it's just, this is just like a football player. You cannot trust a referee. When you lose, you blame the referee. When you win, you celebrate. So, but that's a fair game. So what we expect is the process will be very smooth, and we expect Kenyans to embrace whoever is going to be, elected or even appointed to lead this commission. And of course, now the IBC Masit has got 10 days to appeal. Yeah. All right. And the president has 30 days to act after receiving. So it is within her right. If she will appeal, then she has a right to be heard, and it is within the law. Okay. So the president is also acting within the law. Actually, is not acting outside the law. He's acting within the law. All right. Chrispus, your closing remarks? My prayer is that the selection committee that is going to be put in place, they be allowed to do their work. We want to start by building an independent IBC, by making sure even this first process of recruiting the commissioners is as free and fair and transparent as much as possible, so that the product can also be something that we as a country can be able to trust. We don't want to go to 2027 with an IBC that we don't trust. So they have over 4 years to prepare for an election. Can they be able to be allowed? Can we be able to have a transparently recruited team that will be able to deliver on the promise, build an institution that will be able to deliver an election, prepare Kenyans very well for the election, and we are able to have an election that is we can go home celebrating as a country come 2027. Absolutely. Gentlemen, I think if we continue from there, we will destroy what we've just built. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. We will be speaking to Chrispus Wathimba, who is a governance expert and a political analyst, as well as Junior Omulo, who is the director of political affairs at the Amani National Congress. He's just said that ANC is here to stay. It's not folding shop. We'll bring you back here again to tell us what will happen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Just to remind you that the president actually gazetted 7 people who are going to be members of the selection panel. Let me give you the names. One of them is Bethuel Sugut, Novice Atieno, Charity Kisotu, Evans Misati, Benson Ngugi, Nelson Makanda, and Fatuma Saman as members of the IEBC selection panel. Now they are down to work, and their work is now cut out. As they've said, they need a transparent IEBC that will steer this country to the next general election. All right, right about now, we are crossing over to Zinga, Radio Taifa, where we have got Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi of Machakos County talking matters devolution and development with Dora Manya on Radio Taifa. Dora Manya, hujambo? Kama uko tayari, kazi kwako.